For my final 3 videos of this series, I'm going to change the word map that I've been using to show you a different way of doing that, a different template. There are lots of different types and templates for word maps available, so do feel free to use the one that you like, that seems most appropriate to your setting. Of course, you could always design your own one. For me, what I want a word map to cover, what's most important for it to cover, particularly thinking about older students, secondary students, are the 4 areas of the sound structure of the word, the meaning of the word, how that word is used, so both how it's used grammatically, so how it would be used in a sentence, but also how it's used practically, examples of how that word is used in context, and then finally derivations of that word, so compare and comparison, summary, summarize. So then you're getting a full knowledge of that word. You're doing the sound structure, the meaning, how the word's used, and any relevant derivations of that word. In these videos, I'm also going to be asking some questions that will make you or your students think about the word that we've been focusing on. Questions create opportunities to reflect on a word, to really think about it. They're a very good way of deepening knowledge and understanding of a word. Additionally, if you think back to the introductory video of this series, I talked about Elkland training, and I've referred to that as we've gone through the videos, and also word-aware training. So I'm going to use an activity from both of those, one from word-aware, one from Elkland, as well as one of my own during these last 3 videos. And again, I will put links to Elkland and word-aware into the video description. Okay, so that's a heads up that this video will be a bit different from the previous ones. And now let's move on to our word today, which is equivalent. Equivalent. Equivalent, which my dictionary explains, is about something, so an amount or a value, being equal to or the same as something else. So for example, my 1 5p and 5 1p's are equivalent to this 10p. They are equal, they are the same, they are equivalent. Like in my other videos, you'll notice that I start by saying the word a lot, like this, equivalent. And we can also clap it, equivalent, or click it, equivalent, whatever else helps you to remember it. And often it can be useful to have an action or a gesture to go with a word. In British Sign Language, this means same, the same. So maybe we can adopt that, we can borrow that for equivalent as well. Equivalent, equivalent. Okay, so now we've talked about equivalent, let's have a look at our new word map. So here is the word map. Again, we have our colours, red for what you said, red for the sound information, green for what you mean, the meaning of the word, blue for how to use, blue for how the word is used in context, and grey for another way, derivations of that word. So other ways you might see, read, hear that word. And here is the word equivalent in the middle. And thinking about the sound structure, it begins with an E, but we say if, equivalent, and it has 4 syllables. Equivalent, equivalent, equivalent. Now, moving on to green for what we mean. Well, equivalent, we've talked about it meaning that something is equal, or a sense of it being the same. So, for example, if I have this person who is nodding, a nod of the head is equivalent to saying yes. They are equivalent. Blue for when we use. When do we use this word? Well, it would be used a lot in school, certainly in maths. It's used thinking about fractions. So a very simple example would be that 2/4, 2/4 is the same as 1/2. They are equivalent. Also thinking about modern foreign languages, for example, bonjour in French is equivalent to hello in English. Grey for another way. Other ways you might hear the word, read the word. Well, if you've got more than one, you would have equivalents. So here, 2/4 is the same as 1/2, would be the same as 4/8. You have equivalents, and if things are the same, if they're equal, we say they have equivalence. So that's another word you might read. All means the same. It's all about things being equal. And there's our new style word map for equivalent. I also said earlier that I would be asking some questions so that you can think about the word. So for our word equivalent, firstly, can you think of something that would be equivalent to glasses? Something people could use instead of wearing glasses, but has the same function, so it is equivalent. Okay, well, a second question is that sometimes in competitions there will be a grand prize, a special prize if you're the winner. But they might also offer a cash equivalent, a money equivalent of it, so that if you don't want the prize, you can take money instead that's worth kind of roughly the same as the prize. So imagine that this is the prize you just won. What do you think the cash equivalent of that would be? And I also said that I would demonstrate a different word learning activity for each of the final 3 words in this series. So for equivalent, I'm going to start making a simple example poster, which is something that I found really helpful with students that I've worked with previously. As you might have guessed, an example poster just shows different examples of the word, like this. Here's our word, equivalent. You'll have to excuse my art skills, but I will try and draw a few examples now of this word. So maybe at school or at home, you might see analog clocks like this. Let's say it's going to be 6 o'clock. But you might also see up on a wall that'll often be displayed, maybe you've got a watch that shows it, a digital clock that might also say it's 6 o'clock. They're equivalent. They're doing the same thing. They're telling the time. They're telling you what the time is. They are equivalent. What else? Maybe you have a big bar of chocolate. But you're prepared to swap it with your sister, who has 3 smaller bags of chocolate buttons. Because for you, 3 bags of chocolate buttons are equivalent, they're equal to a bar of chocolate. Let's think about something else. Maybe if you go abroad, maybe if you go to Europe on holiday, you might exchange some money. And you might find that for every £10 that you swap into euros, you receive 11 euros. because they are equivalent. £10 buys 11 euros. So, I've started an example poster for you for equivalent. Your job is to make your own. How many other examples of equivalent can you think of? Good luck with that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.